So a very exciting year again for the JLL City Momentum Index for 2018, with Ho Chi Minh at number 3 and Hanoi at number 6.
So Ho Chi Minh and Hanoi have come in at within the top 10, and I think it's very evident to see that both cities, we see lots of development activity, lots of foreign investment, and it's really being driven by two sort of indicators of the tourist destination, so be a lot of foreign tourists coming into the country, and the foreign investment as well. Well, I think we've seen this is very common in emerging frontier markets, where we see a very rapid growth of market conditions. So the city is growing at a very fast pace, and we're seeing wealth creation, so people have more money and more disposable income. So we're moving from maybe 20 or 30 years ago, when people had bicycles, to now having motorbikes, to more and more cars on the road. So with rapid growth comes a lot of pain, and what we're now seeing is a lot of congestion, so a lot of cars on the road, and the infrastructure is starting to face many difficulties because we're seeing such quick and rapid growth. So we need to see more investment in infrastructure. So we've started to see the Metro Line 1 under construction, but that's taking quite some time, and we still need to see the rest of the network being funded and also being constructed. So this is going to take many years to come. In addition to the Metro Line, we need to see more public services, so the bus service. We've started to see the introduction of water taxis, which I think is good, and I think that should be promoted, and we're going to hopefully see more water taxis within Ho Chi Minh in the future. But it's the public services that we really need to see to help alleviate the traffic that is on the road. So I think the government needs to look at other cities around the world and see how they've managed the problem of dealing with infrastructure and the rapid sort of growth and the urbanization. So we see a lot of new people moving into the city, and we need to work ways of trying to help and improve the living standards of people that live in the city. Well, I think the market is maturing every year, but we also have to remember, I think, where Vietnam is. It's still a very young, emerging market. So there will be cycles, as there are in every property market around the world. I think the key to long-term growth and a more sustainable growth is not and not having a property bubble, is to ensure that that there's a lot of focus on the residential market in Vietnam and in Ho Chi Minh and Hanoi. So we want to try and have a much more sustainable residential market. We think that the actual number of apartments and the number of townhouse and villas is still relatively low for the size of the city, but we just need to consider the amount of development that's happening in maybe different sectors of the residential market. So the higher end, maybe luxury end of the sector, whether we need that much product in that sector at this moment in time. We just need to do more market research and question that. So we also need to sort of protect against more investment and speculation in the market, and I think the government's actually considering bringing in sort of maybe a second home tax, or looking at ways to try and ensure that there's not so much speculation in the market. And I think that's good measures to ensure that we have a more sustainable property market. I think the good news is for Vietnam in this market cycle is that we're seeing a lot more investment, not just in the residential sector. So we're seeing more investment in other sectors of the market, and the industrial and manufacturing market is one sector where we're seeing a lot of investment, both by local domestic groups and also by foreign investors as well. So that, to me, gives a lot more strength to the market overall, and this investment is for the medium to long term. It's not a short term investment. So I think it's good for the country, and it means that we will have a much longer market cycle, and Vietnam's creating itself as a manufacturing hub now. So I think that is good for the country, and it's a much longer term investment thesis. So that will help to develop the country on a much more sustainable basis.